Hey, this is CryptoCruz once again coming to you from CoinFinancial, and we are live. So, I know I've been gone for a little over a week, but nothing's really been happening. Everything's been moving sideways, and everything that I've also talked about in my previous video has occurred, right? It's been going sideways. We actually pumped a little bit a few days ago, and we talked about that in my previous video. So everything that's expected to happen, or I was expecting to happen, is happening. All right. So now let's get into it. This is the weekly chart of Bitcoin. Again, we like to start with the weekly chart because that's what we're monitoring, right? On pretty much every video that I'm making right now. And as you can see, this is the third week that we are above that white resistant line. I'll make it bigger for y'all. This is the third week that we are above that white resistant line. So again, I told y'all in the previous video that the more we stay above it, the more candles we close in the weekly chart, the more it solidifies that is definitely a support now. Okay, a very strong support. And we have actually kind of retested that support already. So now we are moving away from it. And again, I stick to my target, 30K, right? We have a higher probability of going to 30K than we are going to 12 or 13K, like what most of the people are saying. Okay. Again, so what I have is I actually have a contrarian mindset, right? I go against the herd, right? If everyone's calling for this, I'm gonna look at the chart and see if I can go against it, right? And right now, everyone's calling for lower prices, but it doesn't look like we're even gonna go lower. We're actually moving higher, right? So as you can see here, our Bollinger Band is still curving in, trying to form a squeeze. That is actually a bullish sign because we are on the lower side of the Bollinger Band. And when we're at the lower side of the Bollinger Band and it forms a squeeze, the candle tend to follow that lower band that goes up, so the candle goes up with it, and it usually meets at this middle line on my Bollinger Band, right, which is right around, guess what, once we hit the target. I mean, it's not going to happen this week. I'm pretty sure we only have a few days left until the end of this week. So if we go to the future, let's say 2 weeks from now, maybe that orange line is going to end up here somewhere. Maybe even 3 weeks from now, it's going to be here somewhere. And look where that target is. That is right around 30K. I mean, I'm not making this up. I'm just reading you what I see in the charts. All right, I'm just reading you the facts of what's going on in the charts. So 30K, I stand with that price analysis. All right. So another thing too, if we zoom in on the 4-hour candle, right? If we zoom in on the 4-hour candle, as you can see, we've already formed the squeeze on the 4-hour candle and we broke up, right? We corrected a little bit. That was our correction yesterday, and the late night the day before and yesterday we had a correction, and now we're moving back up. Okay, so that actually broke out of this falling wedge. It's actually a falling widening wedge, which is a bullish sign, but it broke out of it. All right, so let's see what happens there. If we can draw this, we can actually draw this right here. Uh-oh, there we go again. It always happens. Now we can just move that. Draw touch points, right? Yes, you can see there's 1, there's 2, there's 3 touch point right there. Okay, so that's where that is. And then let's draw another one. It looks like right here. I've been doing this for over 5 years, and I've kind of formed an eye on spotting these trend lines, right? It takes some practice, but you can draw it that way. There's a lot of touch points there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a little wick down there. Or you can even draw it higher if you want, but it doesn't matter if you draw it lower or higher. The fact of the matter is, yeah, see, you can draw it higher like that if you want, even though there's a few candles at the very end that went down. So I like to do it more this way, right? But the fact of the matter is, draw it lower or higher, the touch points make it a falling, widening wedge, which is also a bullish signal. And as you can see, it's starting to break out here. All right. And since we've drawn that already, we can actually zoom in a lot more now to see what's going on as of right now. Because on the 4-hour, there's a wick, right? So if we go to the 30-minute, check that out. As you can see how it is definitely respecting that white line, the top line. This isn't our big 1 week wedge, right? I just drew this line just now live for you. And as you can see, it is definitely respecting that resistance that broke up. What was once resistance becomes what? Support. And right now on the 30-minute chart, this is very short term, but right now we're actually pulling back, and now we're going to see if it holds support. Okay, if it holds support and we bounce and go up more, if we hit $21,000 today, that's a pretty good sign that that white line that we just drew is now legitimately a support line in the near short term. All right, and we could be going higher. Now, as far as end of the week, what am I looking at? End of the week, what I mean by closing on Sunday, right? What am I looking at to make it even more bullish? What we want, because this is a wedge, right? This is a falling wedge. So what we want is we want to close the week. I'm going to draw a horizontal line right here. I'm going to go to the top of the wedge right there. We want to close above, look at that, $21,000. Guys, I'm not making up these numbers. This is just what the charts are showing me. All right. So $21,000, we want to close above that. Okay. Does everybody see where I got that from? It's right here. You see 21,000 on the top of the wedge. So if this holds supports and we bounce up, we need to break 21K. If we break 21K and we close on Sunday, if we close above 21K, that is a very bullish sign that we may be headed higher. Okay, so that's what we're looking at end of Sunday. Now just a few news for you. All right, a few news for you, which is very bullish as well. All right, we have decoupled finally from the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. Dow Jones, S&P 500 continues to fall, but yet Bitcoin started rising up. All right, we went from low 1900 to now we actually peaked at 21,000, right, before we started making that correction. So with that said, again, that people are starting to realize or to finally understand that Bitcoin is not correlated with the stock market, or shouldn't be correlated with the stock market or tech stock. By the way, speaking of tech stock, Amazon and Meta, right? Amazon and Meta also continues to fall, but Bitcoin continues to rise. And number shows in Glassnodes that majority, if not, yeah, majority, pretty much almost all of the weak hands have already been flushed out, right? And the past few days, I think it was like 2 days ago or it was Wednesday, report number shows that when Bitcoin spiked, over $1 billion of shorts were liquidated. That is insane. That's why it's dangerous to short Bitcoin right now. Why would you short Bitcoin where we're a lot closer to bottom than we are at the top? Top is infinite. Bottom is just right there. Think about that. Top is infinite right now with Bitcoin, and bottom is right there. Just it's like it's so close. And my opinion, we already bottomed at 1700, right? And we're continue to go up. I mean 17,000, I'm sorry. And then we continue to go up. Think about that. We hit a bottom of 17,000 and right now we topped out at 21,000. Okay, that is a pretty big bounce if you think about it in the big picture. A lot of people always forget to think about the bigger picture. They're always looking at it day to day, even week to week is still short term, right? So, what else? Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. We're gonna try to break 21,000 and close above it on Sunday. Okay. Now I'm gonna keep that there, the 21,000 trend line, or not trend line, resistant line right there. I'm gonna keep that right there. I'm gonna keep this also. That is a good indicator. We're gonna go back to the daily, actually we're gonna go to the daily chart and see what's going on there. As you can see, from 30 minutes to 1 day, as you can see how small that wedge that I drew. That's why it's good to look at all the angles. We look at everything. We look at all the angles. All right, I'm gonna look at turn on the other indicators as well and see where we're at. As you can see, we are not even close to being over bought, so we have a lot more room to go up, a heck of a lot more. This is the daily chart. MACD, as you can see, we are separating tremendously. Bullish sign, right? We are separating tremendously on the MACD. And still continues to go up, and we have a lot more room to go up. As you can see how high we were here, right? We still have a lot more room to go up right there. Okay, and yeah, everything is looking great. And as far as the bullish divergence, the MACD is still gradually going up. The RSI is still making higher lows. The is still making higher lows, while we are somewhat going sideways, or at the beginning even going down, right? Very bullish, and we are right now at a 1 day chart squeeze as well, right? I'm gonna zoom in again here. 1 day chart squeeze. We all know what happens when a squeeze breaks out, and guess what, where we're at? We are on the higher end of that Bollinger, right? When a squeeze breakout, we're higher end of the Bollinger. The candles tend to follow that top Bollinger band. All right. So we're gonna go back to the 1 week now. Again, there's the 1 week. There's my 21,000 resistant line that I drew on the 30-minute chart, right? And as you can see, if we go back, that is actually a big resistant line. Again, this is 1 week, right? So for a few weeks, we were right there trying to pop above it. But once we popped, look at what happened. I'm just actually now seeing this. I wasn't even gonna talk about it. I didn't even have this planned, right? I didn't plan to talk about this, but now that I'm seeing it, look at that. We moved somewhat sideways here. We actually kind of formed an ascending triangle right there before we broke out of that 21,000. We actually, let's zoom in more. We actually went up, and then according to this wick, did I move my thing? Yeah, according to this wick, we actually, I kind of moved it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna redraw that, but according to this wick, we actually try to go back down and retest that resistance that became support before we moved back up. That is actually a bullish sign. If we broke that and then went all the way up to 64,000, 65,000, and now we're right here trying to break out of it again. Over here, we did break out of it, but it was a false breakout because the Bollinger Band is not even bullish yet. It was still going down. It's not even curving, right? But right now we are at a curve. it's it's too obvious of a curve, right? So that's what we're looking at. Maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, we might be at 30K. It could take about 4 weeks, a month. But again, remember in my previous video, we need to close. We need to close above $30,000 by the end of this year. Otherwise, we are in trouble. I'm going to talk about this briefly for people that missed my previous video, or you can even watch my previous video, but I'm going to go to the 1-year chart. The 1-year chart. I'm not going to change anything. All right. What we see here, these two candles right here, a green and a red. All right. If we go on the BLX chart, it'll date back here. The red candle on the yearly chart only happened about 4 times in the history of Bitcoin, right? This is the 4th time. But we have never had, if we do logarithmic, right? Let's see. We may have to go to the BLX chart because this is inaccurate. BLX is a lot more accurate than that. Yeah, there we go. So on the BLX chart, we have never had in the history, actually it only happened 3 times. 1, 2, 3. On the BLX chart, we have never had an engulfing red candle. Engulfing means the green candle is a lot smaller than the red candle, right? So in order for us to make this candle smaller than this green, or close above the bottom of this green candle, we need to break above at least 29,000, around 29,000. We need to close at least 29,400, 29,500. But I would be more comfortable if we close at 30,000 by the end of the year. So that's what we're looking at by end of year. Because if we don't close above that 30K, if this candle remains bigger than the previous one, we are in a big of trouble in the future. I'm not talking about short term, guys. In short terms we may have rallies, but in the longer term, Bitcoin may be reversing. I'm talking about years. Bitcoin may be reversing, moving sideways, reversing, and gradually going all the way probably back down to 5K, 8K. But that's another topic. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow, of worst case scenario, right? Yeah, that's a good topic. We'll talk about worst case scenario tomorrow. But that's what we're looking at right now. We remain bullish. Everything is indicating that we are headed to 30K. So just stay level-headed, and don't forget to like and subscribe this on my channel, and also hit that notification bell so you can get latest and up-to-date videos whenever I upload them. All right, so that's it for now. Thank you. Bye.